I love great conversations. Hi, my name is Angel Jones. Thank you for joining me on 12-Minute Convos, where I help you create a brand of your own unique real self. Listen in as I have conversations with amazing people from all over the world. Good morning, Phil Burgess. How are you going on this wonderful, beautiful morning?
I'm very well, thank you. Yes, it's a lovely morning here, very crisp and cold.
Let's go. And cold. Oh, usually crisp and warm goes together.
I looked out of the window this morning and we've got fields around us and there is frost across as far as I can see.
Wow. Well, I do have in my email, in my draft inbox, email that I can send your way. It's filled with Caribbean sunshine. If you need that, let me know.
That would be great. Yes. Seeing some sunshine, definitely.
Well, Phil, please do tell us which of your talents is responsible for us connecting at this time.
Yes, so I believe you reached out because we are fellow podcasters. So it's something I've just been doing maybe for 7 or 8 months now. I've got a podcast called the IT Career Energizer. And on that, I talk to IT professionals and experts about their careers and glean their experience for people new to the industry.
So when did the idea pop that I'm going to do a podcast?
Well, it's part of a bigger thing. So I was looking at potentially starting a new business, and I felt I wanted to use my experience from 20 odd years in the IT industry and provide people coming in with a bit of training and coaching in terms of how to develop their careers. So the podcast really is the first step on that journey.
So I'm guessing you are a user of podcasts as well.
I am very much so. I really only got into podcasting in terms of listening probably a couple of years ago now. So it's still pretty new to me. And I find it a very good medium to learn and educate yourself.
Definitely is. Have you been familiar with the mic before you decided to get on to doing a podcast?
No, that was something completely new to me. So yes, mics, anything in terms of standing up and talking was completely alien before I started.
Wow. Well, you must love what you're about to switch into to decide to make a first step your podcast.
Definitely. Yeah, very much so.
So now that you've started, why will you continue to repeat the skill of podcasting?
I think it's just the passion. I find it's something I feel I can do personally, and it's something you don't need a lot of support to do yourself. And yeah, I just feel that there's value for other people in it. So it gives me that sort of enthusiasm and passion to proceed.
And what's one other thing you've done consistently over the last 3 years?
I think without doubt there has to be self-development. I did think about this question before I came on, and I couldn't think of anything consistent until I looked at what I was doing as a whole. And really, it is about trying to educate myself. I got myself into maybe a bit of a rut in terms of what I was doing. And I found that maybe reading and finding out what other people are up to and looking at ways of expanding my horizons was the way to go. So, yes, probably over the last few years, it's really been teaching myself more, I suppose, in self-development.
And after you did the self-reflection to get that answer, how does it make you feel to know that?
When I look back and think about where I was 3 years ago, and I probably felt a little bit stuck or stayed in what I was doing. So it gave me that sort of re-energization that I needed. And yeah, so it makes me feel a lot more engaged in what I'm doing. I think that's probably the best way of looking at it.
And why would you suggest to someone out there that's listening that they do that, where they focus on personal development
I think
as well?
I think it's similar to the experience I had. Was if you feel you are demotivated, and you feel you are stuck in what you're doing, just look at what other people have done. There's plenty of books out there and resources that you can use to give you that sort of internal boost, and get you to be able to refocus on something else.
I love it. I almost renamed your podcast there to Internal Energizer, right? The IT
Exactly,
Career
that's right.
Energizer.
So that's part of it. Yeah. So I suppose it's part of how I felt. It has come out in the title of the podcast.
That's amazing. What amazing audience. We are live again with Phil Burgess, and he is the podcast host of IT Career Energizer. Phil, let's switch gears for a moment and let me invite you now into my time machine that is surrounded with beautiful, warm, blue Caribbean water. Phil, what is your earliest
Yes.
childhood memory?
This is actually a time very early on, I suppose. I was probably about 4. And it was sitting on my mum and dad's bed and being told that I was going to be having either a brother or a sister. So, yeah, that's probably my earliest vivid memory. So, yeah,
How old do
about
you
4
think you
years
were?
old. I was trying to work it out. So, I'm just about 5 years older than my sister. So, yeah, I would have been about 4.5. I would have thought.
Why do you think this memory, of all those
I
memories
think
you
it's probably
had,
because it was a
so clear?
significant family event. It was going to mean a change in the family dynamic, and it just stuck with me. It wasn't something I'd experienced before. Yeah, and I think having that one-to-one time with my mother as well. I think I remember that.
How do you see that memory connecting to who you are today?
Oh, I suppose it's how I probably think of how my family's evolved in terms of being married and having a son as well. So I think there's that sort of family connection, which is why it sort of resonates, and I remember it so well.
Can I offer an interpretation to the thought picture you
Yes.
created in my mind? I love the idea that it seems as though you're a very mature person from a very young age. To see your parents telling you that and your disposition of you sitting on the bed, to see you remembering that, seems as I could be wrong, but it seems as though you're a very mature guy who really
I think I'm a
listens
listener.
and
I think that's one
reflects.
of the things, possibly the reason why I do remember it so well. So yeah, I tend to be more of a listener than a talker.
That is fascinating. I know you're on a podcast.
Yes.
You are a
Yes.
podcaster. Oh, I think a podcaster is made up of 70% listener, 30%
Yep.
talker. So I think you're in a good space. If we fast forward to when you were 12,
Yeah,
what
so
was your
that's an
favorite
interesting
song?
period in terms of music in the UK in particular. We went through a period where we were coming out of the end of the punk era and moving into a period where ska music became quite popular and the new romantic. So bands like Duran Duran, for example, were very much popular at the time. But the one song that I remember quite vividly at the time was a song called Vienna by Ultravox. I don't know if it's a band you've ever heard of. They're a Scottish band, a guy called Midge, and he was involved very
I've
much
never.
with Sir Bob Geldof when they initiated Band Aid. So it was one of their key tracks at the time.
What was the What was the meaning of the
Do you know? I
song?
can't
Like, what
remember.
were the words?
It's one of those things.
Okay,
It
it's
was a
cool.
while ago, but more than
It was
anything
a
else, it was
while
probably
ago,
the
though.
pop video that made a difference. I think it was maybe somewhere like Prague, but they did it very. It was a very moody video with lots of sort of fog and mist, and it gave that sort of feeling, I suppose, more than anything else.
Amazing. All right, my friend. The feeling like this morning, the weather this morning is looking
Yes.
cool and crisp. All right. Well, Phil, we've arrived at our destination now. But before we get off of this time machine, there is a small declaration form. So it's yes or no, possibly a bit more.
Yes, I am.
We're going to move a bit quickly here. Are you ready, Phil? Phil, have you chosen someone to pass
I
on your
haven't yet.
skills
No.
to?
Yes, for 21 years.
Are you married? Wow. Give
I
us
don't
a
think there is a
secret.
particular secret. I think if you find the right person and you can work it out.
Wow.
No,
So
just
you spoke
one.
of your
He's
son. Do you have
15.
other children?
One of those things I haven't
Do you
decided
believe
on
in
yet.
God?
I don't know. I do,
Do you have an inner
although I
circle
don't
of
see them as
friends?
much as I perhaps should. However, I know they're there when I need them, and I would be there for them too. No, don't have enough
Do you
time.
watch TV for more than 3 hours a day?
Yeah, I try to spend some time usually in
How
front of
about
the
3
TV at
hours
the
a week?
weekend, and it's usually sport or sci-fi related.
And what about screen time, the phone
It's
and or the
definitely more
computer?
than
Is it
8
more
hours
than
a
8
day,
or less than 8
unfortunately.
hours a day?
Being working in IT, I can't get away from it.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah.
I
So
would have thought,
what does it ramp
yeah,
up
10
to
to
on
12
average?
hours
Like
is quite
10 to
typical.
12 or 12 to 16? Okay. Phil, if you had to share with us your own unique real statement, a statement that represents Phil Burgess, what would you say that is?
If you don't grow your career, you slow your career. So that's the one I'm working with.
I love it. Well, Phil, this has been a great pleasure, my friend. Before you leave, is
Yeah, I
there
think
anything
that's
else you'd
just
like to
one thing.
share
There's
with
a
our
phrase
amazing audience?
often used: "The journey of 1,000 miles begins with one step." I think that's definitely true for me. Podcasting, great example. I didn't know anything about it, and took that step. Didn't know what would it entail to do it, but I had a go. It's worked, and I recommend anybody else to do the same thing if they're interested.
Phil Burgess, my friend, all the best with your second step. I look forward to hearing about that. Thank you for being on What is Inspired by 12-Minute Convos with Angel Jones.
Thank you for being on 12-Minute Convos with Angel Jones. Stay tuned for more from our advertisers.
Diabetes is a mountain pandemic. It's a disease that's not acute but chronic. Similar to this rhyming method, I have simplified the definition, the signs and symptoms, and the complications of diabetes for both adults and children in my books, Poems for Patients, A Focus on Diabetes, and The ABCs of Diabetes for Children. These books are available on Amazon.com, and for more information, you can visit my website, poemsbyaj.com. That's poemsbyaj.com.